Hey there again, folks. Welcome back to my Let's Play of Ever17, The Out of Infinity. And, we are again. Just got done listening to Coco's story about the 800-year-old nun, which has some strong comparisons to Tsugumi. Let's see how the story continues to unfold, shall we? And Tuxie continues the story by saying nothing.
だってさ、暗い洞窟の奥でずーっと彼氏さんが来るのを待ってるんだよ。
Okay, that sounded
一人
weird.
ぼっちで待ってるんだよ。寂しくて。
Did she bring books? If I had 800 years, I would, it depends on what time era. If it was now, I'd probably spend those 800 years playing video games, or, you know, watching Netflix or something, you know, YouTube. Depending on how you look at it, either a very boring 800 years or very entertaining 800 years. But yeah, it's, what was it? It was in the 1500s is when she said she was last seen or whatever. That would be books, I guess. Wait, was she born before the... Wait, the printing press. Well, before that, books were written by hand, right? So that was... She was probably really bored. Guess. Maybe she's an artist. Maybe she painted on the walls or something. I don't know.
だけど、死んじゃうこともできなくて、人魚の涙なんて飲まなければよかったのに。
Hey, Coco.
Huh?
Do you believe that mermaids actually exist?
またそうやって夢のないことを言う。
Well, if mermaids don't exist, then you can forget about the whole story to begin with.
そんなことないよ。人魚がいてもいなくても、話の信憑性とは何の関係もないと思う。
Why not?
ゴンタ君のもらったとっくりには、誰が何と言おうと不老長寿の液体が入ってたの。それを誰かが勝手に人魚の涙って命名しただけかもしれないでしょ。つまり不老長寿の液体が実際の人魚の涙である必要はないってこと。
Actually, mermaid ears seems a little bit more gruesome, you know. Cause you could picture, you know, the Little Mermaid instead of, you know, you see her crying, you know, it's been a long time since I watched it, but, you know, she cries at one point, don't she? You know, but if, you know, somebody sliced her ear off, if the bad guy had sliced her ear off, then that would be a little bit more disturbing, I think. Probably.
例えば、
Probably everybody's
ここに
opinion
積まれ
is
てる
that.
キャンディーの山が実際の人魚の涙じゃないのと同じようにね。
Well, you have a point. So mermaid tears is only the name for the strange liquid, right? Alright, fine, let's skip the whole mermaid business. But you know you. Think really hard, will you? Do you honestly think that something like eternal youth exists?
思う。
Have a basis for that belief?
ある。
Okay, show me then.
望むところよ。
The fact that she's 35?
ちょっと話はそれるけど、
Yeah.
今のヤオビクニの話、何かに似てると思わない？浦島太郎だよ。太郎？海の中へと招待されて、立派な屋敷がそこには立ってて、豪華なディナーをご馳走されて、帰りがけにはおみやをもらう。ここのとこなんかもうそっくりそのまま浦島太郎じゃない。
So what?
だから要するにこういうこと。
Blick Winkle, yes, that's what is it? Is that right? Blick Winkle? Crap, is that really related to it? I wasn't just spouting out random crap? Wow.
浦島太郎は玉手箱を開けたことによっておじいさんになっちゃったでしょ。八尾ビクには人魚の涙を飲んだことによって不老長寿の肉体を手に入れたということはですな。
Oh, I'm beginning to see what you're trying to say. Rip Van Winkle hits the bottle just a little too hard, and when he wakes up, 20 years has passed. Just like that with the 800-year-old nun. By drinking mermaid tears, she was sent 700 or 800 years into the future. So she didn't actually gain eternal youth, she just slipped through time into the future. So that explains why she stayed 17 years even after 800 years. You think that explains it? Well, it doesn't. There's no such thing as time travel in real life.
ちょっと待って、話を勝手に進めないでよ。私は一言もタイムスリップなんて言ってないでしょ。私が言いたいのは玉手箱と人魚の涙との類似性というか相関関係というかそういったものについてなの。玉手箱の中に詰め込まれていたものは生物の老化を急速に促進する作用を持った気体だった。とっくりの中に詰め込まれていたものは生物の老化を極限まで抑制する作用を持った液体だった。そしてこの2つはともに海中に生息している何者かによって手渡された。さらにこれらを手渡した人物は海底に建造されたゴージャスな宮殿のような場所に住んでいた。ということは玉手箱の煙も人魚の涙も同一人物の手によってあるいは同一の文明によって製造された可能性が極めて高いということになるでしょ。
Tells us what?
なるの。もしかしたらその宮殿は海底に沈んだ超古代文明の遺跡の一部だったのかもしれないよね。
I think what you is trying to say is if you go to a party and you drink too much, you're either going to stay young forever or you're going to get old really quickly. It's a 50-50 chance. So gambling people go to parties and drink a lot. It's a gamble. It's an ultimate gamble.
例えばレムリア文明とか。レムリア文明には老化をコントロールできちゃうような科学技術があって浦島太郎もゴン太くんも何らかの事情によって特別にその宮殿へと招かれることになったんだよきっと。うんうん。どう？納得した？
I think that was a pretty random explanation, but that's okay, I guess. I got your point. You still haven't given me any substantial evidence that eternal youth exists. The point of what you just said was basically this. Rip Van Winkle and the 800-year-old nun's dad must have made contact with the lost civilization of Lemuria. Alright then, let's just suppose this assumption was correct. Even if the civilization of Lemuria actually did exist, nobody knows if they had the technology to control aging, right? There's no way you can prove it. Besides, Lemuria never did and never will exist. Sclater's theory has been proven wrong a long time ago. What's Takshu sounding so smart? He is sounding a lot smarter than I would think he would. Yeah, I'm wondering that myself. The name of an English zoologist. In the mid-19th century, he noticed that the same species of lemur inhabited in Africa, Madagascar Islands, Asia, and Indonesian islands. But lemurs can't swim, well, maybe just a little, but certainly not a long distance. Well then, how could the same kind of lemur reside on different islands separated by a massive ocean? Sclater thought, that's it. A long time ago, there must have been a great landmass in the Indian Ocean, and these islands must have been connected as one. But by the mid-20th century, the theory of continental drift had been proven, and Sclater's theory was ignored after that. A long time ago, all the land on the Earth formed one big continent, which very slowly got broken up and the continents shifted with the movement of the Earth's crust, or by virtue of plate tectonics, to become the way they are today. To be precise, the land masses are still moving even today by a few inches or less every year. So the theory of continental drift now known to be fact rather than just theory. So the reason why lemurs exist on different islands can be explained by this theory. So there, you see, there's no such thing as Lemuria. If there's no Lemuria, there couldn't be a Lemurian civilization.
Ah, so. 悪いけど、私が言ったのは太平洋のレムリア大陸のことなんだよね。日本の浦島太郎がどうしてわざわざマラッカ海峡を渡ってインド洋まで行かなきゃいけないのよ。レムリア大陸は太平洋にあったの。
In the Pacific Ocean. You by any chance talking about the continent of Mu?
呼び方なんてどうでもいいのよ。かつて太平洋上には超古代文明が存在した。それをある人はレムリア文明と呼び、ある人はムー文明と呼ぶ。そんなことどっちだっていいじゃない。
Oh, I'm getting a headache. Guess you're alright. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So they call it Lemuria or Mu, or it never existed anyway.
どうしてそう夢のないこと言うかな。大人げない。蔵なりには想像力ってもんがないの？
You're the one who's childish. You're 18, right? Grow up, will you? Get real. An ancient civilization before time, perpetual youth and longevity. Rip Van Winkle, 800-year-old nun, and Santa Claus. None of these exist. Oh my gosh. Aha. Oh. I was wondering if Coco was going to have a reaction to that. They're all just fairy
お
tales.
とぎ話のすべてが虚構とは限らないでしょ。中には実話だってあるかもしれないじゃ
That
ない。
would have been really mean of Toxie if Coco had a reaction. No way.
ある。少なくとも浦島太郎だけは絶対確実完全無欠に実話だと思う。
Oh, you're so sure, huh? You do have any proof, do you?
もちろん。
Then let's see it.
望むところよ。浦島太郎はね。
What?
浦島太郎は。浦島太郎は。浦島。太郎。太郎。
All of a sudden, you put her hand on her chest and looked like she was suffering. What's wrong?
大丈夫？サンキュー。平気。いつものことだから。
What do you mean all the time? This is probably a very serious moment, but I was just thinking that it'd be hilarious if she was taking the Fred Sanford approach out of this argument. I mean, nobody's gonna keep arguing with you if they think that you're having a heart attack, you know? His face had gone pale. Her lips were almost purple, and sweat began to. Okay, yeah, she's not faking this then. And sweat began to run down her forehead. She grabbed her chest with her right hand. She groaned in a low voice and squatted to the floor. She jabbed her left hand into the mountain of tears. The mermaid tears scattered everywhere, and the pin on top flew in the air.
本当に大丈夫だから。
What's she talking about? It happens all the time. She didn't seem alright at all. Her breathing was fast and her body was stiff and shaking. Her facial color almost seemed like that of a corpse. What should we do? Shall I leave you here and call for help? No, we don't have any time to lose. To the infirmary. I've got to take her to the infirmary. Coco, I'm going to carry you to the infirmary. So you go ahead and tell everybody what's going on. Carried you on my back and jumped out of the kiosk. The infirmary was close, so I could get there in less than a minute if I ran. Before I could think, my feet had already started moving. I kept running in silence. The infirmary was near. You whispered into my ear in a small voice. Here's what always confuses me about stuff like this. This is in movies, in books, anything. Why can't people finish their own damn sentences whenever they're there? Instead of just keep repeating it, why can't they just finish it? You know, if you're like, the guy who killed me. Instead of just saying, instead of, you know, repeating it, the guy who shot me. The guy, why don't you just say, the guy who shot me was Dave. You know, I don't know. It always confuses me. I mean, it adds drama, it adds suspense. But it's kind of silly too at the same time. I thought she's gonna say that he was her dad or something. Okay, now we're the kid again. Rip Van Winkle did exist. I screamed out. Okay. Look, not all fairy tales are fiction. Whoa, wait. It's interesting. Maybe they are different versions of you, and this is where she's got all convinced about it from the kid at a different point in time or something. I don't know.
それにね、もしも仮に浦島太郎が実話だったとしても、少年のこととは何の関係もないじゃない。
It does too. You're talking about whether people could actually travel through time, right?
だからわからんやっちゃな。タイムスリップが現実に起こるものだとしても、少年がタイムスリップしたことにはならないって言ってるの。
And how come I can see the future?
そんなこと私に聞かれてもわからないってば。
It has to be because I'm experiencing the same moment in time over and over again. I must have been stuck in LeMU in the past, so I'm just saying words. I don't know what I'm saying. 3 days passed, and then 4 or 5 days, and after that I must have slipped through time for some reason. Meaning I must have traveled back in time to the moment I fell into the pond. That must be why I can look into the future. No, I mean, I must be remembering things I've already experienced in the past, instead of looking into the future to be exact. I don't know how, but I'm probably carrying memories of the past.
じゃあそうなんじゃない？
Well, come on, I'm being serious here.
悪いけどね、私にはもっと切実で深刻な問題があるの。考えなきゃいけないことが山ほどあるの。知ってるでしょ、少年だって。理由はともかくとして、少年は予知をすることができる。いいじゃない、別に予知ができたって。あって困るような特殊能力でもないし、むしろあった方が便利だと思うけど。
You make it sound so simple, but in my case, I don't think it is the ability to see the future. I'm pretty sure I travel through time. Might even be repeating the same moment in history over and over again. And what's more, I'm pretty sure that the amnesia has something to do with the time travel.
もう何回言わせれば気が済むのよ。タイムスリップなんてものは絶対に不可能なんだってば。それから記憶喪失のことだけど、時間が経てば必ず元通りになるの。実際もう思い出しかけてるじゃない。っていうかほとんど思い出してるんでしょ？
Not everything. I just remember things about Sarah. Just childhood memories. I still don't have any memories from the last few years. I have no idea how I got to LeMU, why, or with whom. I still don't remember anything from before May the 1st, the day I came to LeMU. Where I was, what I was doing, or who I am.
はあ？ちょっと待って。少年はマヨのお兄ちゃんなんだよね。そのことはちゃんと思い出したんだよね。
Yeah.
だったらさすがに自分が誰なのかくらいわかるはずじゃない。
But I don't. How can I explain this? If someone were to ask me, who are you? All I could say is, I'm Sarah Matsunaga's brother. I don't know any other way to answer. And all of a sudden... You raised your voice and pointed her finger at me.
そういえば大事なこと聞き忘れてた。
Something important?
名前よ名前。少年のなまへ。マヨから聞いたんでしょ？聞いたんだよね。聞いてないの？
No, I haven't. You shook her head, looked up at the ceiling, and chewed on her lips. She clenched her fist, went to shake it into the air, then rethawed it and pulled it back down. Now, I guess I have to kind of agree with the kid. Just knowing your name isn't the biggest deal. I mean, when you really think about it, how often do you really use your own name unless you have to sign stuff or something like that? But, I thought she would have used it, you know, said, hey, guy, you know, and like, what is Oni-san, Oni-chan, something like that, Oni-chan, something like that is what brother is in Japanese, or the, caring way to say it. I'm not the biggest expert when it comes to, the suffixes are pretty, yeah, suffixes. I thought she would have used it at least once. That's the only thing. He then proceeded to stomp around in a puddle of water. She crouched down and hopped up swiftly. She took a deep breath. I thought she was going to blow it out, but she continued to take in one long breath. And then she said, her voice was so loud it shook LeMU like an earthquake, and they all died because it destabilized. I was a bit frightened that it would tear the partition wall. Well, you probably wouldn't understand this, but Sarah and I had so much else to talk about. We had endless things to talk about, and I just didn't have the presence of mind or chance to think about myself. For us, the first priority was to regain the time we had lost. And to be honest, I could care less about my name.
あのね、少年、よく考えてみて。自分の名前を気にならないの？
Now that you brought it up, I'm starting to wonder. When I was talking to Sarah, it didn't even flash through my mind. You sighed with an exaggerated gesture. Well, just put yourself in our position, you. Sarah and I saw each other for the first time in 9 years. We were just so happy, caught up in the memories. But on the other hand, we were scared and pained, and our hearts ached. All these emotions were mixed up and jumbled together and came flooding over us. Sarah and I were overwhelmed just trying to understand one another. Like I said, names didn't seem so important at that time. She just called me brother, and I just wanted to call her Sarah. Because I'm a normal person who uses people's names. Do you understand?
全然わからない。
You said that and started to walk off. Hey, wait a second. Where are you going? Splashing water, you walk down the long, straight corridor. I tagged along beside her and asked her again. Hey, where are you going?
マヨに聞きに行くの。
What?
決まってるじゃない。少年の名前を。
Look, you don't have to do that.
なんでよ。君さ、さっきから言ってることが噛み合ってなくない？完全に記憶を取り戻したいんでしょ？自分が誰なのか知りたいんでしょ？
Of course I do, but...
じゃあ、予知だのタイムスリッパだの強盗無形なきテレス話をする前にさマヨに名前を聞くのが一番手っ取り早いじゃない。
Fell back briefly to the side of myself in that mirror. I had been so confused at that time because my face didn't look like my face. If the same thing happened when Sarah told me my name, I was afraid that I might feel like my name wasn't really my name and end up all confused again. To tell the truth, it was a bit scary. Besides, is a name really all that important? Look, names are just the way people give themselves to make identifying one another more convenient. It's just for convenience, so while living without a name certainly has its own challenges, I don't think a name is an absolute necessity. Take dolphins. They're highly intelligent creatures, but they don't go around calling one another by name. They seem to be getting along just fine. They seem to be able to identify one dolphin from the others, too. They know which one is a son, which one is a wife, and the differences between a gray whale and a killer whale. He thinks that dolphins get married. I'm just trying to picture a dolphin marriage, like a dolphin wedding, you know? Like they proceed in through like the aisle, you know, they're like, you know. Oh, that was the most undolphin-like noise that somebody could possibly make. That's a pretty weird image that I'm thinking of. I didn't think I was going to be thinking that image when I started playing this. Thank you, game. Thank you, kid. They don't have names yet they can recognize things correct. And also, you don't speak dolphin. How do you not? How do you know they don't have names? You know, they might have names. Can't understand what they say. And this is just a speculation, but they seem to recognize individual identities. A dolphin seems to have its own sense of self, separate from that of the dolphin swimming next to it, and it is aware that it is a separate entity. By the way, I don't think that dolphins have names between themselves. I feel pretty certain of that. They don't have to depend on names to recognize all these things. My name is James. This one next to me is Ling Ling. Now in chasing after fishes, you may me. I don't think they do that. It may sound kind of cocky, but sometimes I feel humans depend on names too much. He's really not wanting his own name. He's being way too defensive about this. If one day this girl you've known as Ling Ling tells you, oh, by the way, my name is Lang Lang, wouldn't that throw you off? It'd cause confusion and you might think, you know, Ling Ling and Lang Lang are really similar, but they're probably just two different people. It seems stupid to get confused just because of a name. Meaning people value, trust, and depend on names more than the actual individual differences. I bet dolphins don't think like that. Because to begin with, they don't have names to identify individuals. Really, he's lacking this argument too much. He's I realized that for the first time once I lost my name. I noticed the name really isn't all that important. You didn't stop walking. I couldn't tell whether she was listening to me or not because she didn't respond to me at all. Hey, are you listening to me? As we turned around the corner, I asked her.
聞いてるよ。聞いてる。考えてたの。今の少年の話。確かに少年の言ってることもわかるような気がするの。
I think she's mocking me. I think she's got something prepared here. But anyway, hope you folks enjoyed. This is it for this one. Tomorrow, if I'm not oh, pardon me hitting the desk. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. Hopefully tomorrow, if I'm not too lazy, I wouldn't say lazy, but you know, if I don't get too distracted in other games, I think I'm going to finally try to record that that one game that I was telling you about. It's I don't know why I was being I don't know why I was being all kind of mysterious with it. It's called Postmortem. One Must Die, and it's it was compared to the Moon and some other games. I can't remember what it was, what all games it was, but that got me right there, To the Moon. I love that game, so I'm going to try to play it. It's got multiple endings too. There's 5 different characters, and supposedly you can decide which one of them dies at the end. So that seems cool. And I think it's supposed to be quite short. Probably only about 4 episodes long, so 4 or 5 episodes worth long. Depends on how much time I'd spend just sitting here talking randomly like I do a lot of times with this game. Like the whole Dolphin wedding thing. Completely irrelevant to the game. But yeah, I'm going to see about going through that tomorrow. I'm going to try to knock it all out in one go. I don't know if I'm going to use the face cam or not. Depends on what I have to use to record it, I guess. But anyway, that seems like it might be pretty good, so look forward to that eventually. I've only had it since mid-November, so I haven't waited too long to play it. But yes, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I shall return for the next one. Very well.